call a Pizza Hut and I get a pizza.
Ooh.
So it's not the same kind of calling to order, I
Yeah,
guess.
I guess just got
I wish a
confused.
pizza would show
Usually
up.
that's
That would be
the
great.
president's job is to provide the pizza.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Would you like to make introductions?
Are you recording?
I don't
Yes,
know.
yeah. we're good.
Oh,
Well, you mean as far as the presentation?
yes.
Okay,
And Kevin.
yeah, well, you guys know we've been working on the master plan and stuff, and we'll talk about some other stuff, but Stephanie's gonna give a presentation, and Kevin and Stephanie and I have been working on the master plan together. So we all came here. Stephanie's in Wisconsin, so Michigan, okay. So we will turn it over to you so you can share with us what you wanted to share.
Okay, sweet. Well, thank you all for allowing me to present at your meeting tonight. I must say, this has been a really fun master plan to work on. And let me know if you can share my screen. You can stop looking at my bobbling head and look at, can you see the
Yeah.
presentation?
We see it,
Okay.
yes.
All right, so the process is kind of going through the inventory of the airport, and we perform the forecast and determine the critical aircraft. We gather survey results. So tonight, what I'm going to present to you is kind of a summary of what the tenant survey results are, as well as a summary of your forecast, which was just recently approved by the FAA in record time. So we're very happy about that. Oftentimes master plans get hung up because they're waiting to get approved, but we are good to go there and have the letter in our files to prove it. So we sent out surveys with a SurveyMonkey link, and we also had emails go out. So we got 7 tenant responses total. And so we want to look at like who's at the airport, what are they flying, where are they going, how often are they doing this, and what do they think the needs of the airport are. So here's just kind of a lineup of those who replied to our survey of what aircraft they're operating at your airport and who keeps them there.
Can you guys see the text okay? Okay.
So one of the questions was, what percent of the time is your aircraft used for business or pleasure? 6 of the respondents said 100% pleasure. They don't do any business with their aircraft. One said 5% business and 95% pleasure. And we had one respondent who happens to have the Cessna Conquest that uses their aircraft for 90% business and 10% pleasure. So this was something interesting we saw. The typical nautical mile trip from Delphi is 40 nautical miles, and you can see here on the graph kind of how far that is. And those were from 6 of the responses. However, when you take a peek at what the Conquest is doing, they're typically flying about 500 nautical miles, so giving them a range much, much bigger. So then we asked them, we want to know like how often they fly, what do they anticipate their operations in the coming years to be. Many answered unknown. But we do see like the Vans RG7 didn't fly at all in 2024, but is anticipating to fly in 25 and 26. We've got some here that flew a fair bit in 24, but are looking to decrease their operations. So when you see numbers like that, or even down here with the de Havilland and the Fisher Classic, it makes you start to ask the question, why are they decreasing their operations? What's happening? So that might be some further digging we want to do into those tenant surveys to find why it is they're reducing their operations. Is it, due to cost of fuel? Is it just due to their general activity? Are they, do they have other reasons that we might not want to know about as the airport owner and operator to see why that is? So So this is the exciting part. What did they identify as the operational and facility needs for your airport? Probably most of these things won't be a big surprise to you. Some may. So full-length parallel taxiway, I know we talked at length about that in the kickoff meeting. That is of great interest to the survey participants. Additional hangars was also mentioned, which we know you guys are, nearly at capacity. Different types of fuel, new runway lighting, hangar repairs was mentioned, doors, lights, and wiring, a displaced threshold, and an east-west crosswind runway. So are any of these items surprising to you, or are these things that have been mentioned before by tenants?
I'm not sure who might have done the east-west runway, but it's been a dream, of course, always to have some sort of an east-west runway at one point, but the difficulty is FAA simply doesn't fund crosswind runways and stuff. You can do it on your own or put in a turf and that kind of stuff. So I think at some point you'll just have to determine how important is that to be on the master plan and stuff as well too.
Right.
As far as the displaced threshold stuff, I think we have always identified that maybe the runway needs to get shoved to the south, which would be the same as a displaced threshold at some point. But everything else is everything else is on the CIP of some sort. The parallel taxiway, additional hangars, new runway lighting. The Conquest wants Jet A. It might not have made the Survey Monkey, but it can't base here without Jet A. It could, but it's not going to buy fuel.
Right. Any questions?
Yeah,
I see we have one question.
yeah. How many surveys did you send out? Seems like a low amount of return.
Well, what we did was we sent out a link to the airport to send out to the tenants.
Yeah, I think, Ed, you notified every tenant for the most
Yeah.
part. That's just.
I have a
how
mailing
we
list of all the
respond.
tenants, and I send it to that mailing list.
How many is that?
How many?
I think there's 37 on there, but there's
Yeah.
a couple of, like Jim would be 3 shared ownership. That would include all 3 of them.
Yeah, and then we included Ethan, because he's technically not a tenant yet. Well, I guess in a way he is, because he's partnered with that one, but he didn't do the Survey Monkey, but he gave me some information via email. Well, actually, did you go in on the Survey Monkey
Yeah,
finally?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
yeah, wasn't sure about the 2 that you got by email and things, but I mean, that's, other than putting it in the newspaper, there's not much other way to get out. And I mean, I guess Rhonda and the school might have been able to fill one out, but I don't know if they're allowed.
Yeah, I could have, I suppose, for Purdue. But- And how many times did you send the survey out?
I sent it out once.
Just once? Okay. Yeah, it usually helps if you send it out 2 or 3
But
times.
basically you sent it to tenants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
it's the one
people forget,
tenant.
get busy, and usually if you do 2 or 3 times, you usually get bigger returns.
I think there was some extra push towards the end after we had actually closed the deadline, because we did have a couple more come in, right around the July, August timeframe.
That was, you were one of those.
That was one of them, I know, that you reached out to me.
Okay. Well, that covers the tenant survey portion. Now we're gonna move on to your forecast summary. So here we are looking at historical operations. You can see the peak there in 2015, and then a sharp decline, and then some kind of ups and downs, and we really recovered and surpassed that 2015 by 2024. So that's really great to see. when we were looking at your base aircraft, historically, 21, 22, but in 2023, you had 29 based aircraft at your airport. And that is a growth rate of about 2.8%, which is pretty good for a GA airport. So what we do when we forecast is we take the airport numbers and then we do trend-based analysis sometimes. Sometimes we compare market service and we always compare to the TAP. There are different things that we do. In this case, historical data was a bit lacking, so trend analysis was not used. We use the TAF, we use the FAA aerospace forecast that is published annually, and that gives you growth rates based on types of airport. And then we also took a look at your state TAF and your 5-year growth rate there.
Yeah, and just so you know too, when she says the historical information was lacking, we've always had that tracking system, but it hasn't functioned well until 18 months ago when we got good internet, because it's one of those pieces of equipment that if it doesn't have a link to the internet, it doesn't count. It's not storing the data. So once we got the internet here, your activities went up quite a bit and that kind of stuff. But I will tell you that it's difficult to get the FAA to rely solely on a counter like that, because it's great. Rhonda and Purdue and everybody else is 95% of our activity because of touch and goes and things like that. But the FAA is very conservative when they take their charts and data. And the other thing has hurt you in the past is you've never had an IFR approach. Nobody really tracks VFR activity. The state used to put a bucket with a counter out there by the runway and count the zoom, zoom, and stuff, and then count those, but they would only put it out there for a month at a time and then extrapolate for the rest of the year. So your counter's done a great service of being able to show actual activity and stuff. But it is showing trends, which is good. And the FAA acknowledged that in the letter and in all of our conversations so far.
Yeah,
So,
and let me just add that this is not unusual for a general aviation airport to have a bit more difficulty putting the historical data together. When you've got an air traffic control tower, you've got our approach, that data is very, very easy for us to get. This is much more difficult. But we've collected data that we feel is reasonable, if you will. We forecasted out both the itinerant and the local GA airport operations. And so it is, showing growth throughout the 20-year planning period. And I might note that there is promise going forward with the FAA and these counters, because there are a lot of initiatives, and there are several states that are pushing statewide initiatives for ATSB and different sorts of operation trackers to be installed. So I think moving forward, they may get on board a little bit more with that and allow us to use it for forecasting purposes more than they do now.
And we were, with the counter, able to show the FAA a big increase in air tractor operations too. Like the 802s, there was a lot of 802 tractors here this summer, and those guys need 5,000 foot runway. So if we can ever get to the point where there's 500 of those operations, then they'll let us revisit the forecast and justify a longer runway as well too, which I'm sure you're interested in as well. And I will say too, I'm sorry, Steph, some of the reasons why your local tenant base don't respond, they're perfectly happy with what you got. They've got hangars, they've got a runway, they've got fuel. So I don't know, Larry, if you got any thoughts on that or anything, but.
Well, no, I think you're right about that. The bulk of the people that are here find the airport very usable the way it is. Now, I would make an exception of myself to that extent, that because of the flight training operations that I've been involved with, I'm very aware of the advantage of having a parallel taxiway.
Right.
Both from a safety point of view and from an operational point of view, saving fuel point of view, and, you know, just many.
Right.
But I don't know that other tenants feel the same way I do, but then I'm the one that has done most of the flight training activities here. And Rhonda probably, during your activities, parallel taxiway would also be. Rhonda and I have
That'd be
conducted
awesome.
most of the flight training operations at this airport, right?
Well, and I'll
Yeah,
tell
for
you,
flight
too,
team, it's not really flight training. But.
we,
Oh, well.
we don't necessarily need a forecast to justify a parallel taxiway. I mean, the state 20 years ago put in their state system plan that they want every airport to have 4,000 foot lighted runway with a parallel taxiway. So that's kind of a given that the state is going to support that no matter what.
That's good to know.
But it's just pure safety.
No. But most, getting back to the original question, most of the people that operate planes here don't operate 10 or 15 landings an hour, 2
Right.
to 3 hours a day like I did.
Right.
So, you know, they probably don't feel as strongly about it as I do.
Some of them just want their man cave and they want to be left alone too.
Yeah.
So, okay, sorry, Steph.
No, you're good. So looking at your existing and future critical aircraft, the results will be pull the data, come back to A1, existing, A1, future. And that is the design group that the FAA has approved in the forecast. So when we prepare the airport layout plans, the dimensions that we show have to coordinate with that design group for separation and safety areas and all that sort of thing. Now, that's not to say, knowing that you have all these air tractor operations, and some of those air tractors are B2 category, just to give you an example, it doesn't preclude us necessarily from protecting for that in the future, even if we can't document that it's the case right now. And we are currently working on your ALP with that in our mind, and that's the approach that we're taking. And we'll have more to share on that probably within the next month or so.
Yeah, I think the Conquest is a B2 as well. It's not picking on you, Doyle, but you're probably not aware of what A1 or B2 is.
I'm not even aware what an A tractor is.
Well, an air tractor is a crop duster. A crop duster.
That's kind of what I was
And-
thinking, but I didn't know.
An 802 is the bigger wingspan, it takes on more fuel, and because of how much weight they are, they need a longer runway because when they're fully loaded, it takes them a while they can't just pull back on the stick and they'll stall and crash.
Yeah, and especially because a lot of that operation takes place in the summer.
Right.
when it's
Yeah,
hot.
yeah, when it's hot as well too. But the A, the first letter of that, A, is the approach speed. So a Cessna or something like that might have an approach speed of what, 79?
Category A is
Yeah.
the
No more than
70.
that, yeah.
And B is getting up into the hundreds, I think. And then the second letter, the one, that's the wingspan. So the bigger the wingspan is, the more justification it is for wider runways, longer runways, more separation distance, and all that stuff. We always try to argue to get to a B2 because that's usually what it takes to justify like a 5,000 foot runway. But you have to, it doesn't mean that they can't come in, but you need 500 operations a year for the FAA to support the facilities to support that. They won't do it because one arrival and departure. It's got to be 250 arrivals, 250 departures for a total of 500. And we're in the 100 some range right now with B2s, but that doesn't mean we can't get there if we can get somebody based here and get a little more traffic.
Who would fly that kind of plane?
Yeah.
Would that be a factory?
The Conquest that we're talking about,
Mhm.
that's a B2. And that's the plane that was going an average of 500 miles and stuff. which means they're burning fuel. You need a bigger hangar, of course. The bigger wingspan needs a bigger hangar and fuel. And fuel, yeah.
I mean, what kind of business flies those? I mean, is it, do they have like
Construction contractors, Love's Truck Stop, for example, flies into little small GA airports to go visit all their facilities.
Manufacturing, is there any manufacturers around here?
Yeah, Packers may have people come visit, Beck's Seed people. They've got several huge jets and stuff down at Indy Exact. And they're actually C2 aircraft. They have a higher approach speed with the bigger wingspan as well.
I just wondered about marketing to those people that get them to use the airport.
Yeah, I'm not sure who here would and that kind of stuff, the bigger aircraft, but like I said, the air tractors, the crop dusters fit that category, but they're usually not based here. They're usually, there's several in Monticello, and then there's some in Huntington, and there's some in Jasper County, but they travel. They're like a circus. You know, they'll go to where the crops are.
We had one group from Alabama.
Yeah. Well, Hog Air's from Arkansas, are they not? So, yeah, I mean,
They're Monticello.
well, they're both, but I think that the company itself is Arkansas, because that's where the name Hog Air comes from. But I mean, they're like gypsies for one of them. They'll go to where the need is and that kind of stuff, and they're competitive. I mean, usually there's only so many acres that need sprayed, and this year was actually kind of low because we had a pretty dry summer. So a lot of farmers, and I don't know, Jim, if you ever contemplated spraying, but a lot of people just didn't spray this year because they didn't have a fungus issue.
My corn was sprayed by an aerial spray.
Did you tell them to use this airport?
No, I was just watching. They're fun to watch. No,
And there are some.
I don't know where they came out of, but I'm gathering probably Monticello.
Yeah, they've taken a hit over the years too, because there are some helicopters, but there's also people doing it with drones now as well too. They have to come back and reload a lot, but they get into areas that a normal aerial applicator can't sometimes too.
Do drones have to use an airfield?
No, they just.
In fact, bring a pickup truck right next to the field, really.
Right, yeah, so they don't have that back and forth to an airport to reload either, so they could be more competitive sometimes. But anyway, sorry, I keep getting us on tangents.
No, you're fine. So then we want to take a look at your fleet mix. So that is, what type of aircraft are they? Single engine, multi-engine? Are they jets, turbine engine, and what is that split? So predominantly, I'm sure it's not a surprise, 87% are single engine aircraft, and that is projected to stay constant throughout the planning period.
Yeah, just so you know, the FAA will, sometimes they'll let airports do a multiplier if you can prove a trend, but a lot of times they just flatline it. Whatever it is on this date, they're gonna flatline that until you prove them otherwise.
Yeah. And here's your base aircraft forecast. So we look at the airport tab, and that is the terminal area forecast that the FAA provides, and they publish it every year. So what where they're putting you at in 2044 is 47 base aircraft. Now we run our own, and we do it based on a 5-year historical and a 10-year historical growth rate. Now you'll see if we provide this 8.4% growth rate, that's a huge number of aircraft, and probably isn't very realistic. If we go back and say, okay, let's look at what the more modest 10-year growth rate is, that's 2.8%, and that's considered reasonable. And 52 aircraft compared to the task 47 gets us in a close enough range that FAA will sign off on that. So by 2044, we're projecting 52 base aircraft. Now, with that in mind, you have to have places to put them. But based on demand and economics and everything else that gets factored in, the potential is there for that many airplanes at Delphi. And last but not least, do you all have any questions?
Why don't you go ahead and tell them what our next steps are, Steph, what we're now gonna do with this information?
Okay, yep. So now that we have design aircraft and we have that A1 category, and we have tenant surveys, we have kickoff meetings, we've been just gathering lots of information. What do we need? What do we want? What is justified? Now we're taking the airport layout plan drawing set and we're putting the drawings together. And we're coming up with development alternatives that we feel make sense for the airport, that would be justified to the FAA. So in the upcoming month or so, we are going to have some future development drawings drafted and ready for review to start refining. To say, okay, yes, this is what we're looking for, no, it's not. But this is where the airport master plan gets fun, because you really get a chance to dream a little bit about what Delphi will become. And so that's where we are. We are working very diligently on it. It is moving right along. And so we're excited about that. There are a lot of things that have been talked about: the east-west runway, displaced threshold, parallel taxiway, hangar space, fuel farms. So in trying to, place all of that at the design standards set forth by the critical aircraft, while keeping in mind that there is future potential for B2 to someday be a critical aircraft, and protecting for that. We also are taking a look at trying to get you a segmented circle so that Purdue can increase their operations. Yeah, we're trying to get that figured out for you. So exciting stuff, good stuff. So we'll have a draft soon that we're gonna start, working with airport and Ken and getting it refined and figuring out what the best development path is for Delphi to go.
But, and part of that step in between too is what we call alternatives analysis. There might be,
Oh, yes, sorry.
there might be three ways to do the parallel taxiway. We put it over here, we put it over there, or we turn the runway into a taxiway and move the runway over and things. I mean, there's multiple ways to do that. The same way with your, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, once we get this first draft down of what we think makes sense, then we'll come in and we'll start refining and we'll start getting down into the nitty gritty detail of each development, if you will, and really start analyzing, what is the best way to do the parallel taxiway? Is it here? Is it there? Where could an east-west runway go? What should its orientation be? I mean, we'll get the basics down, but then we'll do the fine tuning once we've got a drawing to work with, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then
Same
that
way
will
with,
also be,
sorry.
in addition to the drawing, that will also be narrated in text format too.
Yeah. And same way with the terminal development and hangars and stuff, those all have to intermix with the parallel taxiway, which one best supports, because hangar growth, or where should the terminal be, and, so there's still some steps in there before we do start actually creating the airport layout plan. And I think, don't we have some sort of another public outreach or a stakeholder outreach in there somewhere as well too?
Yes, when we start looking at the alternatives and analyzing them, we will have another stakeholder meeting where people get to, look at proposed layouts and start talking about the pluses and minuses of either one, and that will feed into the alternatives analysis to come out with your recommended alternatives. Then the recommended alternatives will be turned into your capital improvement program. So identifying what the improvement is, how much it costs, how do you think you're gonna fund it, and what are you gonna do? And that's provided in, a spreadsheet table for it.
So now I'll open it to questions.
I got one. So the alternative runway is formed a taxi back. You know, you land on the one runway and drive back on the other one.
Well, the parallel taxiway.
So what do you want?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to cross the main runway any more than you had to then, would you?
You try to avoid crossing as much as possible.
So that's where it might get into, make it, like you said, make this the taxiway and the other one the real runway.
It could
Because
be.
then you're getting to your buildings and everything without having to cross the runway.
Right. But the other thing too is you might figure out that if I build another runway, I'm just gonna make up numbers here, maybe that's $10 million. It might be easier to tear all these buildings down and build them over there or further away for $10 million as well too. I mean, you already know you're tearing down some of these T hangars and this building will get replaced someday as well too. There's I bet if we gave everybody a blank piece of paper and said, tell us how you think we should do this, we'll come up with 7 different ideas and stuff and things. So that's where,
Well, I think the main concern is just whatever you do, build it where you don't cross the runway
Right.
anymore. You have to.
and you may get to a point sometime where you need to have parallel taxiways on both sides. Now, that's a long-term good problem to have, but you've got quite a bit of land on both sides and down the way and things. But yeah, unfortunately, we were so constrained in the early years that everything got built so close. That little taxiway we got is only 200 feet from the runway. The minimum usually is 240. So, you know, how do we gain 40 feet without, we can maybe apply for a mod to standards or a waiver or something as well too. FAA's hesitant. So they've got a mindset that no more mod to standards, no more waivers and stuff. There's been too many of those throughout the years and stuff that get grandfathered in and things. But it's like fixing runway protection zones at Midway. You know, they came up with this. We're not going to have any more roads or buildings or anything in runway protection zones. Well, then they figured out it's going to be like $60 billion to clear everybody's RPZs across the nation and things. It's just an impossible goal sometimes. But what they do is when you do build a new runway or you change something, they try to make sure that you don't add to the incursions and things like that. So, but.
And I just want to note that when we are reviewing alternatives and come up with a recommended alternative, we really want to keep in mind not only construction feasibility, but also financial feasibility.
Right.
You know, you don't want to come up with a plan that is never going to be able to be afforded. That makes this whole effort, you know, kind of a waste. So we consider that as well. You know, what's reasonable within the capital budget that you have. And yeah, there are usually some big ticket items that you can hope to pull some discretionary money in that, so those will be identified. But at the same time, all of that goes into the considerations that we take when we're recommending the build out alternative.
And the good thing is if it's justified, the FAA is going to give us 90% of the dollars anyway. Stuff as well too.
Well, do they have a marketing plan?
Does this thing, will it come up with a marketing plan?
Yeah, you're trying to predict future and everything, but you almost need a marketing plan to figure out how do you make it grow. I mean, what makes him want to bring his plane here? What makes anybody want to bring their plane here? And then you contact, like you said, the or tractor planes or whatever, and whoever else, because it could become a tourist destination.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how you do that, but
right.
That should be factored in because that's going to change your growth.
Right. The marketing plan is not a part of this effort here. This effort here is just supposed to make predictions based off of what the FAA will allow you to forecast, and then make sure that you're building facilities that will support it and stuff. The marketing plan is something that not every airport wants a marketing plan. Like I said, some are happy with what they got and they don't want to get bigger and stuff, but others do want to get bigger and things. So that's something you'll have to take on as a sponsor and things. At some, what point do you create a group to go out and market, and maybe that's the White County Economic Development people or something, get involved with that.
Well, I think one affects the other one.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make a basic guesser, but if you don't do anything, you don't expect it to grow.
All right. Well,
Yeah, and if you,
go ahead.
if you can get commitments from operators to say, hey, we want to come to your airport if this happens, and you have a wait list of 25 people for a hangar, it really goes a long way towards justifying funding.
I think the big thing too is when we do start doing the outreach and that kind of stuff, we want to invite county and city officials and that kind of stuff and the economic development people. Because a lot of times they don't know that the airport's planning to be able to support things. I've gone to meetings sometimes too where they would ask the economic development, where's your nearest airport? They go, Lafayette. It's like, well, no, it's not. It's like it's right here. Or they'll say Logansport or someplace else. They kind of forget that there's one in the backyard and stuff. So that's a good thing to educate them as well too.
Well, I don't know how some ties together, but just take example for Delphi growing, they pushed the canal. You could go if you go to a rest stop and you could get canal brochures.
Yeah.
Well, you could also tie that in with the airport. I mean, what's being done I met a person and that's all they do is fly someplace to eat.
Right.
But they go everywhere. And, I'm sure there's a group and a way to talk to those people also.
Or books out there called $200 hamburgers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because that's what they cost when you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they just do it for recreation.
$2,000
I would say unless we have a good Uber or Lyft, there's not really a good way to get into town to even get a hamburger.
You gotta.
For that
You gotta
price, have it
shuttle.
catered.
Oh, the trolley.
You got a trolley.
Oh.
Golf cart.
No, they
Jeez.
have a physical trolley.
Oh,
I think it's still here.
I don't
It doesn't
know
work.
where it went.
My understanding.
Brian put it on his credit card.
Hmm.
So. Okay, well, you got a kind of idea of where we're at, next steps and things, and it's a process. And when we get done, doesn't mean it's a living document and that kind of stuff as well too. And if something comes up, we can go back to the FAA and modify it, make changes. Even though it's supposed to be a 20-year document, they only kind of approve the forecast for 10 years and say, okay, well, and if you get to that point faster than 10 years, then they'll let you revisit it again and different things.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are running into a capacity constraint, we can rerun forecasts and look at critical aircraft again to justify something, that maybe wasn't justified in this effort. But you still got a really strong set of base drawings to work from to start with, so it makes the process a lot faster.
Yeah. Well, and what's going on in your community can help accelerate that too. Just to give you an idea, 20 years ago, French Lick was a sleepy little airport and that kind of stuff with no activity whatsoever. They brought in casinos, 2 Pete Dye golf courses and things like that. And now they get jets flying in from Arizona and everything. They're a destination hub. They've still only got like 15 base aircraft and they're all small, but weekly they get Gulf Streams and everything else. And we had to build them like a 3-acre ramp just to cover the jets and that kind of stuff. And those are the people that need longer runways and jet fuel and all that kind of stuff as well too. So.
So we need to update the golf course.
Yeah.
We do a
We could
contract.
use the limestone quarries.
Mhm.
Okay, would you have anything else to share, Steph?
Nope, that's all I have, unless anybody has any final questions, thoughts for the day. I'll let you guys have your recess and continue with your meeting. I appreciate y'all having me tonight.
Well, we appreciate your presentation and it was most helpful, I'm sure.
Thank
Everybody
you.
appreciates that.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yes,
very
you're
much.
welcome. We'll be in touch.
Thanks, Steph.
Yep, see you later.
Bye. Very good. So are you gonna have a physical recess? Or you just gonna go?
Does anybody need to take a few minutes? No, let's keep going.
Okay.
Did anybody have any comments on the minutes for the last meeting? Then I move that we approve them.
I second.
All in favor?
I.
Now, I have a question on the financial. Anybody else have a question on the financial before I tell mine? I just want to understand the relationship between these two reports. And I don't know if you're the right one to ask, or maybe Ken, but this is hangar reimbursement fund from the FAA.
That's the grant fund.
That's grant fund.
This
The other
one
are
tells our
rent.
expenditures. Apparently, these expenditures, here's the one for him. Those are mortgage payments, right?
But wait a minute, we have paid off the loan, I believe, did we not?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That completed the payoff?
Yeah, now we dispersed stuff out of there though, that was not necessarily loan payments. I think we might have paid for some improvements and some other things. But these two funds are completely separate. This is just the grant fund that they were paying us back for the hangar, the fuel farm, and some other things.
Okay.
Several grants. These are the rotary funds that is taking your income and your expenditures for fuel, and I think like your farm lease goes into the rotary fund for that. And they call it a rotary fund for hangar. There is no such thing. It's a capital development fund, and that's one of the things we're trying to fix.
Oh, no, okay, this doesn't reflect your efforts.
No, not yet.
Okay.
No.
That was another.
Yeah, see, when they first created those funds, they created one fund that was supposed to be a rotary fund for fuel and hangar. Well, by Indiana law, you only have rotary funds for fuel. And that's just so you can buy and sell fuel without having to get it budgeted every year. The hangar stuff is supposed to be a capital fund that you bring in all your rent and revenues that are not taxpayer dollars, and it should go in there, and then you can spend that on capital improvements and things like that, repairs and things. But, yeah, we're working to clean that up.
Anybody else have any questions or comments on the financial papers? Okay.
The only thing I was gonna mention on there is that you've got like $34,000 still in your general fund, unencumbered, with no plans to spend it. So now's the time if you want to use some of that money to buy spare parts or mowing equipment or anything like that. If you don't spend it, it just gets rolled back into the general fund.
Well,
Could that be used to fix them lights?
that's what I was just thinking, at least
Well,
part of that.
It can definitely be used to at least pay for what you've done so far. You could use, I mean, the repairs that we'll talk about that on the CIP, but the repairs that Michiana proposed, we're planning to get you FAA money
Yeah,
to just
okay.
replace everything. And you'll have all brand new system. So now the one thing I talked to Ed about before the meeting started, for example, your building insurance, you've got a line item in the general fund for building insurance, but you didn't use it. You paid for the building insurance out of the hangar rent. Well, now you've taken your capital money and spent it on insurance when you've got a budgeted line item that you didn't touch. And so I was suggesting that maybe you call
Kim, what are
Amanda
you
or
looking
whatever
at?
and move that payment to the general fund, which is an operational expense, and save your capital money for things like building hangars and all that kind of stuff.
So who made that decision?
I just, whenever they turned in the claim, they might have just picked the,
there's no commercial insurance on our budget.
there is a building insurance.
No, there isn't.
Show me the general fund.
There's a liability.
Yeah,
Here's the budget we're working off of.
show me Amanda's budget.
What are you looking for?
The forms. Right here, Ed.
Oh, that's it, yeah.
Line item 3340 has $7,875 for buildings insurance.
Yeah.
Still has a 100% balance, so it hasn't been touched. So I would have paid, and it could have been any of us, because, you know, there was a time when Ed was out. It could have been
Well,
Larry,
let me
it
say
could have
this,
been-
if it was me, which is conceivable, I would have taken their recommendations and not really recognized.
City's recommendation.
Yes, right.
Yeah, well, maybe they're not paying attention, but I mean, when you budgeted something for something,
Yeah, it should come out of that
you
fund.
should use it out of the
I
operating
will say
fund.
this, any expenditures though that I made in absence, I did look at the thing and say what made sense.
Right.
And so
Well, I mean, I think it's easy for somebody to say building insurance or hangar insurance. Let's pay it out of the hangar fund.
oh, absolutely.
I mean,
I
it's
might have done
legit.
that.
But the good thing is it's reversible. I mean, it's not an error
Well, we
unless you close out the year and don't
Yeah.
fix it.
Well, we ought to do that.
And so I chatted with Amanda today, and she said, "Yeah, we could move that if that's what you want to do and stuff." Because the money that's in your hangar fund, if you don't spend it, it rolls over to next year, and it's still there for your use. But the general fund,
Does she need any further guidance on that, or?
somebody will need to contact her and tell her to move it from hangar fund to the hangar.
We
Want to call or you want me to
haven't
call?
had that commercial insurance in there for 2 years. Now, why they're carrying it through, I don't know.
Well, that was on that's the last approved budget right there from last year.
So do we need a motion to do that, or that?
I don't think so.
No, that's, I mean,
You
that
just
should have
seen what
been
we
done that way.
proposed. That was the proposed budget that went into the city.
Yeah, no, I don't know. But I was just trying to figure out a way to spend down your general budget for items that you need. Because what is the total budget there, Larry?
Oh, on ours?
No, right here. Right there. What's that number? I can't read it.
So, 72,025.
Yeah, so you've only spent 50% of your budget, roughly, right?
That's roughly what we do every year.
Well, and Ed didn't draw as much money because of his
Oh,
time
going for
out and stuff. So that, and then, but there's some maintenance money in there too, that I think if you don't spend it.
Is that a city budget, use it or lose it? or-
Yeah.
Okay.
But, and I won't say they lose it, but it rolls back into the general fund, and then Doyle and them approve part of that to offset next year's budget. So, I mean, but you might as well think of it as use it or lose it type stuff.
So how do you look at that, Doyle? Do you look at our budget and say those guys only spend half of it anyway?
Well,
So
sometimes we go line by line and look at it and try to determine, and we're really watching now because they cut back on the taxes
Yeah.
for us to get it. And we're trying to figure out how we're going to cover that next year. We already got an extra budget in, but
Right.
we've got to.
Yeah, everybody's scrambling right now
Yeah.
from a budget standpoint.
Now,
because-
none of them think, they're not very, very happy about it, but I think it's a good thing. It's time to be financially responsible. Cities have just got bonds and this, that, and the other.
But I will say airport budgets though are the rounding error stepchilds of city budgets and stuff like that. When you can consider an airport, which is $70,000 to hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million or something like that for police, fire and streets and sewer.
They don't pick on it too hard. We just,
No,
we rely on you to be responsible.
Right.
And sometimes we'll ask you a question, what's this and that? And it's,
I've seen some cities that go, okay, everybody needs to cut 20%. Well, 20% on an airport budget is a lot,
Yeah.
especially when you only got one employee, you know?
Yeah, I don't think we look at it that way at all.
Not everybody's as reasonable as you are. So that was my only feedback was, do you want Ed to maybe try to buy some spare parts for the light bulbs and transformers and I don't know, Ed, do you need anything for mowing equipment? Or?
Yeah, I got a bill on mowing equipment coming.
Okay. Well, chances are you're not.
I don't know how much it is though.
Next month. A lot of times the December meeting gets canceled.
Ours, we have one, December.
No, you will, but the airport a lot of times.
Something I'd like to see done is us, hire a garage door company, come out and service all the garage doors, all the hangar doors.
Well,
That needs done.
could that be done under that fund?
They all need adjusted and the cables need adjusted, they need lubed up. I mean,
In my opinion, they need bigger cables because the cables get caught between the roller and the side of the pulley.
That one we fixed it. They put a bigger cable on it.
Miscellaneous.
Oh, they did?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't study it after they did it. I was gonna say, which fund is it that you're talking about? You know, this.
Well, it was insurance, you know, they remember.
No, that one I got. The other one you mentioned that we should spend some money. to have.
You've got $7,900 in miscellaneous maintenance still
Oh, okay.
available.
And that's not a capital fund?
Miscellaneous maintenance is 300 series.
I was gonna say, you should be able to look at the numbers.
Right.
And,
Yeah, 300 series is usually a service. The 400s is the capital.
okay.
So, and the majority of your capital is either spent or encumbered because part of it's grant match funds that we're carrying for the master plan that we haven't built anything on yet. But you've got under your 300s, you got miscellaneous maintenance, you got $7,900. You've got propane. Now, the good thing is you can move money around in the 300 series. So if you're not going to spend the propane or the electric and the telephone, you can move them to miscellaneous maintenance and do $10,000 worth of work.
well, I move that we, ask Ed to contact the door people, the people that did the repair on that one door where the cables actually broke. And I would say, is anybody got any other ideas about stuff we really ought to try to get done before the end of the year? So I think, I don't know what they'll charge, but there's a lot of hangar doors.
There's a lot of hangar doors.
Well, and that was one of the things that was mentioned was maintenance and lighting fixtures or something. I think
Yeah.
somebody mentioned.
Yeah, there was something about it, yeah.
Lighting inside the hangars, all the lighting inside the hangars is old
Well,
and
yeah,
can be updated.
those are,
We'd be replacing them with LED
Yes.
bulbs and that
Yep.
kind of
Yes,
stuff.
that's bright.
that's
Yes.
right. But I
I
don't
think
know
the
how much
doors
that
would
would cost.
probably be a good first start.
Pardon?
Fixing the doors would be a good first start.
Yeah.
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 So what do we have, Kim, $7,900?
Yeah, I think,
I think you've got, well, are you done buying propane for the year, Ed?
Am I what?
Propane, you're not planning to buy any propane?
Yeah, we'll get some more.
You are?
Yeah, we will.
well, instead of,
Yeah.
why don't we,
This year? I mean,
Yeah.
in 2020?
Yeah, it's only a
before the end of the year?
250 gallon tank, so.
Okay.
but why don't we authorize Ed to spend some money on hangar door maintenance?
Yeah.
Okay, you made a motion.
Yeah, but I didn't finish it. I want
We can figure out what the dollar amount is, though.
well, I want to authorize them to spend as much as $7,800. And that may not get all the hangars. I don't know what they charge per hangar, but we can do some, even if we can't do them all.
Yes.
And they ought to start with the row that we're in,
Yes,
because that's
Stop the old hanger.
that's older than the brand new ones.
right.
And we don't need to spend money on these hangars over here, other than I would consider getting a quote at least for a new door on that hangar I'm in. The old wooden door is very hard to move. And,
I told you to do that when you moved in there.
well, I need to do something. But that door works, so I'm not worried about it. But these other doors, one of them's gonna break.
Right.
That cable's gonna break.
Yeah, if you don't tune those and keep the tension on them all the same,
Yeah.
they'll
And one of them already did. It got stuck in the pulley and he continued to try to operate it and broke the cable. Anyway, and you probably can get all those in that
I would think,
for way under $7,900. That's my guess.
Mhm.
They should do an inspection and give us a quote for repair.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
There,
to you?
why don't we just get them repaired?
Yeah, fix them
Well,
there,
yeah.
yeah, so have them come out again, because it needs to be done.
Well.
Yeah.
All right, then I'll move that we,
Let me see if you got any other money that you can move without council approval. Well, that insurance,
But-
if you don't move that insurance,
well, I'm planning to do that. I'm gonna call her tomorrow.
do you remember how much that insurance bill was for the buildings?
18,000,
18,000?
16 or 18,000.
Okay, 'cause there's only.
That's why it was moved from there to,
Okay.
Hang around.
You've got $1,000 in consulting and marketing that you never use hardly ever. You can move that down to maintenance.
You can do that next year for your marketing. Nice brochure about the canal and that. Everybody can find it with that.
Nice.
I mean, all the others is utilities and things like that. So,
but the insurance could be moved.
well, you could do one of two things. You could move the insurance back into there and then use hangar money repair, or you could not move that and just move that 7875 down to maintenance.
Is that 300 also, the insurance?
Yes. Yeah,
So
so
it's
if you don't wanna mess with the insurance, leave it where it is, and then just move this 7875 down, now you've got,
15,
you got $16,000 to do repairs with,
Let me get these numbers.
and 1,000 of the consulting, so you could do up to 17,000 of
Yeah,
repairs.
that would be nice, get the whole shebang.
Okay, we're gonna move, 13,340 to, airport miscellaneous maintenance?
Yes,
Is that the one you're
well,
saying?
you're not moving it, that's the fund you're going to spend it out of.
All right, you've lost me some, you said you were gonna move something and I wanna write
Yeah,
it down.
I thought too,
Well,
he
let me
was
circle.
gonna take money out
You're
of,
gonna move these two. Move them down to there.
yay.
Well, that's the one I said.
Well, you're moving it to there. You're not.
No,
moving
that's
it-
what I said.
Yeah, that's what he
I
said,
mean,
yeah.
That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
that's what I heard too,
I thought you
so.
said you were moving miscellaneous.
No, he was taking those into moving into
Anyway, that's
those.
good. I will talk to her about that.
So yeah, if you combine those three funds together, you're close to 17 grand.
Yeah,
So,
But do we need that much?
well, I mean, I
You don't know.
I hate to be
If you're
authorized.
talking about fixing doors and buying light bulbs and LED fixtures and all that kind of stuff, you can.
Well, I
spend
don't think we have the project wherewithal to do all of that by the end of the year. The doors, I certainly think we can,
Yeah, I'll call them tomorrow.
that's something that they can do.
Get on there.
But all this other stuff requires, we gotta go look at it, gotta decide which lights we wanna do, we gotta get a quote for how much is this gonna cost. It's a time consuming that I doubt if we have the time to put in it.
The good thing though is you don't have to spend the money, you just gotta get an invoice and encumber it and carry the
But
money.
most people won't give you an invoice until they do the work.
Can you get a quote?
No, we'll work on it.
It depends on your clerk treasurer, some of them will let you do it
Yeah.
with
They're not supposed to.
How
No,
fast?
they are supposed to, they just think that they can't.
Oh, is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
On a quote? But you haven't actually,
It's an agreement.
I was gonna say-
If they'll give you a contract or something
okay,
where you sign it,
then they say we're gonna do it in February.
right,
That's, okay.
Like a purchase order almost like this.
yeah, kind of.
Point is, you have to have an agreement.
But so many clerk treasurers, and Jewel, we haven't really tested it with Julie.
Yeah,
But there are so many clerk treasurers that I have to have an invoice. Well, an invoice means that the work's been done and that you're just not gonna pay it till, well, if you've got an invoice, why wouldn't you just pay the invoice? But anyway,
Yeah, I think maybe see how much it costs to fix the doors first, and if we have anything left.
That'd be
spend it on
my
lights.
mind, get some kind of a ballpark idea of what it's
I
gonna
was gonna
cost.
say, if, as soon as we can get a ballpark idea on the doors, well then maybe we could decide on what we want to do on
Yeah.
lights.
well,
But
the fallback we've always done before too is get spare parts for your airfield lighting, light bulbs, the frangible couplings that get broken when they get hit with the mower, the lenses, things like that. Those halogen bulbs, what are
I
they?
got a box of
They're
them.
like $75 a piece.
You have a box
I'm
already?
ahead of you. I've got a whole box of this,
Okay.
there's couplings. I've got 3 boxes of the
You might be able to.
Glasses.
Yeah, I mean, the same, yeah, you probably gotta get a different contractor to probably do because what you're talking about is a sliding barn door, right?
yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah, that's gonna probably be different
I was
than
gonna go to,
the overhead door people.
that's right.
But you could probably get somebody to give you a quote to do it.
Well, I'll call up, the, Steve's overhead door. Now, they may not mess with that kind of
Right.
door. I don't know.
They'll be able to tell you who will.
But you've got contractors and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know, does Gerald do that kind of stuff?
Is that?
Gerald, does he do those kind of? I think
No.
I think in the past you've had people do stuff like
Yeah,
that.
but they don't anymore.
Okay.
His son used to do some of that work, but he's working full-time now and not, because I had something else I wanted done and he couldn't do it.
well, if we decide we want to do in like lighting, I know Skiles Electric did all of Frankfurt's in my hangar down
I
there.
need an electrician.
They went down there and went through all the hangars, put all new LED lights in all of them last year and redid them all. And Skiles Electric has done all their work. So they're familiar with airports, they're familiar with it, they know what they're doing. And so,
Would they get a quote?
yeah, oh yeah.
Well, why don't you just authorize Ed and one other person to get quotes and spend up to $17,000 on hangar door repair and miscellaneous improvements,
Mhm.
period.
So we're getting quotes first. We're not doing the job.
No, I'd rather
Well,
just do the
You may
job.
not have another meeting to come back for approval. So yeah, you would be approving the expenditures too.
Yeah.
To do the job.
Mhm.
I'm glad to talk to Skiles. I work with him
I-
a lot. I know him very well.
I make a motion for Ed to spend up to $17,000.
No, we got a motion on the floor. Larry's made
Oh,
the
he never
motion.
finished his.
Well, mine never got seconded, so it's off the
Well, then
table.
you never finished it.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I guess I'll
Why
make
why
it
don't you
one-
just change it to get quotes instead of,
No, to get it done.
instead of getting it done?
Wait, Ed, we're getting confused here.
Yeah.
What Rhonda is suggesting that we authorize you to spend the money.
Yes.
So we can do it this year, because if you get quotes, it won't be able to do it this year.
Yeah.
Without another meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tell me what I'm supposed to do.
All right.
go ahead.
I
Rhonda.
make a motion that Ed can spend up to $17,000 to make hangar door repairs, and if there is any more money left over, lighting repairs to the hangars.
I'll second that.
No, this is the actual, get the doors fixed.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you have money left over, you can get
Fix
some
the
lights
lights.
fixed too.
Mhm.
But that's gonna take some, well, the doors itself will take a lot of effort. You'll have to open every one of those.
That's
hangers.
right. That's right.
Yeah, but they should be able to tell you what they're gonna charge you to get it done. While they're there and you.
Now we're back to getting
No, wait a minute, wait a minute. You would know
We're-
what
we're
you're
just
spending,
Getting,
and you could go ahead and check on the other stuff too.
Did you, second that? Did I hear
I
you second that?
yes,
Well, you can go ahead and get an estimate for both and then release
That's what I'm saying.
however many doors or lights you want to do based off the funds that you just approved. And if for some reason they can't get it done for the end of the year, try to find a way to get an invoice or something to encumber the money.
2 seconds.
I did.
Ethan,
And Larry, you or somebody will have to submit a fund transfer, I'm assuming to Amanda to move those 300 funds around.
Well, I'll go there tomorrow and talk about it.
And if you
See
do
what I
that,
need.
you don't have to worry about that insurance bill.
Yeah,
But just make it cleaner. 'Cause if you
yeah,
move it, if you pay the insurance, then you're gonna have to go spend.
there wasn't enough money on the insurance thing anyway to cover
Yeah.
that, so.
So-
It's too
That's
bad.
about,
Is there
that's
any
about
other-
16 or 18,000.
is there any further discussion on, Rhonda's motion? That we authorize Ed to spend $17,000 for hangar door repair and if money's left over, replace some hangar lighting.
Mhm.
All in favor?
I,
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Any more discussion on the financial report?
Hmm.
And I believe it's your turn, Ed.
Ken,
Ken.
Okay, engineers report, start off with the CIP meeting that we had with NDOT, the FAA. Rhonda and Ed joined.
Jim was there too.
Jim joined remotely too, right? And then Larry and I were in person. Had a really good meeting with them. Felt it was very positive exchange. I'll go over a few more details, but the main thing we impressed on them was the need to deal with the runway lighting. And they did not have any issues about possibly using our FAA, AIP, and bill money, whatever we got left, which is about 700,000 toward that. And even if we get bids and it comes in higher, we might get some state apportionment, that kind of stuff. But they were willing to let us do that because they saw the importance to keep the lights on and stuff. And the age of them and everything else and so we've added that to the CIP as a top priority for 2026. So we'll work on getting all that done. They gave us some other good suggestions and that kind of stuff, just to kind of touch on in my report. They are offering all airports this Naseo Airport affiliate. It's kind of like continuing education for airport managers and board members, where you can take like little training modules and stuff and learn about grants and all that kind of stuff. It's free. They're offering it to you if you want it. So that's a good program. They told us about a new Black Cat system, which is going to be their new payment process for grants and everything. That's just, there's no big deal here for us. The biggest thing that they made us aware of is that they're implementing in July 1st a 75-25 program strictly for pavement maintenance. And you can use that to crack seal, spall repair, mill and overlays, painting, all that kind of stuff. They will provide up to $100,000 per airport. Your share, then you'd have to come up with $33,000 to match. So it's probably stuff that airports are spending anyway, but you're going to get 4 times the amount of work out of the deal. And the only thing is you got to go out and get quotes. In my report, I put this here is right out of NDOT's. NDOT evaluates your payment every 3 years. And then they make predictions of what it's going to be. So they're predicting in 2026 that you're going to have some pavement. Those numbers in parentheses that you see, the 41 to 27, that's a ranking of those pavements from 0 to 100. 0 is gravel, 100 is brand new concrete or asphalt. You've got some taxiways that are in the 41s and the 27s. That yellow around the second oldest hangar is actually a 48. And then down at the very end, which is actually newer pavements of 27, which I'm not sure why it's worse. So if you're interested in that program and you're gonna have some matching funds, we ought to put that in the CIP as well too. You can't apply for the grant till July 1st, but you can go ahead and get quotes and everything up until that point. See how the funds come in. So that's a first for NDOT. They haven't had a program like this for over 20 years, and they're really excited. And like I said, they've got $5 million. They're going to give it out to airports until it's gone next year, and they're going to try to do it every year after that. But it'd be a good time to do some crack sealing or maybe even some seal coats and that kind of stuff on there if you're interested. So unless I hear we don't want anything to do with it, I'll go ahead and add that to the CIP as well for 2026.
Fine. That's a good idea.
Up to 100,000, and then we'll see what we can afford.
Money.
Right. And it sounds like it would cover anything from January 1st, 2026 onward.
You could actually spend the money in January 1st. They just can't reimburse you until July.
Is there a matching part of that grant? Or is
Well, you would have to, if they gave you 100,000, you've got to spend 33,333. It's
you have to put that in the pot.
the airport,
Part
that's,
of that.
yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a 75-25. So whatever you spend, they'll reimburse you 75% of it.
Mhm.
So, which,
Now, one more thing, does it have to be spent in 2026?
Yes,
Well-
and then 2027 will be a start over again, I think.
well, I'll say that you probably got to get the work done in 2026, but the program actually lasts from July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027. Anything after that, they got to go back to the state and get budgeted for additional stuff. But once they give you the grant, I think you'll have a year to spend it. So,
And you don't have to spend all of it, right?
no, you don't have to.
Because I mean, we might decide that, well, the work that we want to have done isn't gonna cost that much, and we don't want to spend that much of our money.
Well, we will go get quotes first.
Yeah,
And bids, and then we'll tell them exactly what we want in the application. Now, when you go out and do the work, if it's crack sealing or something, that might be based off of an estimate.
yeah, time of.
6,000 feet of
Right.
crack sealing, and then you might do 5,000, you might do 7 and stuff.
It's up to 100,000, but you can spend much less if that's what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think what you got to focus on is you have the 25%.
Right.
I mean, I think that's where cities and stuff get in trouble. They go, "Hey, that's a great idea."
Well, and the thing
And the
is,
next, well, let's get
our
another.
budget is,
How many half-off sales can you afford?
remind me, what is the status of our budget approval for 2026?
I think yours is done, isn't it?
Well, that's what
Yeah,
I
it's
thought.
done.
So the point is, I was getting
How
at
much
is,
money did you put in there?
yeah, is that we may not have anticipated this particular, obviously we wouldn't have because we didn't.
Well,
Know about
you did put grant match funds in there, I'm sure. And then you probably had miscellaneous improvements and upgrades again, did we not, Ed?
Oh, yeah.
You have a copy of the budget?
That I'm looking for. We had it before.
I don't know what I did with
I didn't know if you pulled out this year's or next year's.
No, this is 2026 budget.
What I think is if you had 20,000 in there, you can actually get 80,000 roughly worth of work done for the same amount you had. budgeted.
You've got 25,000 of airport grant match here. You've got 16,000 of airport upgrades, and you've got 20,000 of airport maintenance, all three of those.
Now, let me ask you something. Do we have obligations already for those for some of that grant match based on
You
the
may
existing?
need some of the grant match for the airfield lighting, possibly.
But other than that, do we have current obligations for that money based on?
I have to do the
grant?
math, but we encumbered 33,000 from this year's budget to carry over for the master plan. So I think we're covered there. I just don't remember what the matching fund requirements are for those two grants.
Somebody stole my 2026 budget.
I think that.
I've got
Ken has
it.
it.
There's a 25 and
I think we encumbered more money than we needed for the master plan because we only needed 2.5% for that. And we got 2 years of funding at about 300 grand. So we're gonna need to come up with 2.5% of that, which is probably 6,000 or 7,000. So I think you got the 33,000 that you've encumbered plus these 3 line items to do this project and the airfield lighting combined. So
I think we had a pretty good amount in there for grant match.
we
Yeah,
did,
25,000.
well, because it was based at one point that you thought you had to provide 5% grant match on bigger amounts and stuff. So
So we got 25,000 in grant match, so we could spend 100,000.
you will to match the state grants, you need 33,000, and up to 100,000, you would need 33,000.
No, I thought it was 2575.
It is 125% of $333 is 33,000. That's like 3 parts to 1. 33,000 times 3 is 100,000, right? That's 75. That's 25.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, yeah, because
Trust me.
it's 3, it's divided into 3 parts.
If the
or
state
4
puts in
parts.
75, you can put in 25. But if the state puts in up to 100,000, then you just put in the 33.
Oh, well, so then you're spending 133.
Yeah.
The
So
total project is 133,000. Your share is 33.
I'm saying,
Oh,
I'm saying the total project,
No,
100,000.
no,
But
no.
the state
Just,
puts 75.
just the state share is 100,000.
Up to.
Yours would be 100. Would be
But
33,000.
if the total project was 100,000, the state,
You don't have to come up with 25.
and that's where I'm headed.
that's easier
And
math.
we got the 25,000. So
Anytime the state's doing a 3 to 1 match and stuff, and you can find the money, get it all done. And until we have quotes on that and the airfield lighting, everything, we're just putting it in a CIP saying we potentially are going to apply for this. So,
there you go, Doyle.
yeah.
More 50%.
Did we approve more money than you needed?
No.
Okay. I would say no. Because you never know when you're gonna be getting like this bill money and that kind of stuff.
I don't understand one thing. If Michiana is saying it's 19,000 to just do some repairs, how can you get a whole new system for 100,000?
I didn't say, I said we get a whole new system for 700,000.
Oh, so that's not what we're gonna use this Indiana money for.
No, the Indiana money is for pavement only, not lighting.
Oh, just
We cannot use it for lighting.
Oh,
Like steel coats.
It is only for pavement maintenance.
you have,
And it
That's
covers,
yours,
milling and overlay. Did I see
As
that?
long as it fits within the 133,000
Okay.
total, yeah.
Okay.
The interesting part is they're even telling airports, if you want to go out and buy your own crack sealing kettle or your own paint striping machine and materials and do it yourself, they'll pay for that.
Wow.
But they recommend multiple airports get together and kind of share.
Sure.
now, at one point, we
Well, you get it,
considered,
then you rent it.
payment.
Rent them to other airports. I like
Is
that.
that kind of payment included or only payment to the airplanes drive?
They prefer you only do it for the airfield and stuff.
Okay.
They didn't rule out parking lots
Parking
and roads and stuff, but that's not what they're,
That's not high priority.
but yeah, to them,
Oh, so somebody else gonna get the money, yeah.
They think they have 5 million in, for, they think 50 airports for sure are gonna apply for.
yeah, they
5 million.
assume that 50 airports are gonna ask for 100 grand each.
Yeah.
So 5 million is a pretty good bucket for Indiana, for this kind of program.
Yeah, and the reason why they have this money is because they didn't have to match grants during COVID. Those were 100% grants. And this year, next year, they only got to come up with 2.5%. So that's what's created this money. And this has been approved in the state budget for this coming year. So anyway, we'll go ahead and put it on the CIP, and then we'll worry about see how the bids come in. Next item is the CIP itself, which we have to turn in December 1st. And so what we did is we still are looking to get reimbursed for the land, obviously, and they were comfortable and good with that. But we're showing that we're going to do something with the airfield lighting as well to design, bid, and construct in 2026. Then in 2027, we originally had the parallel taxiway environmental assessment. We won't be able to draw any of that money until the master plan's done and we know where it's gonna go and do the environmental. So I just pushed that off into 27. I went ahead and added the Jet A fuel tank just because there might be another 75-25 grant in the future. They have been talking about doing capital improvement 75-25s with some funding. So I put the Jet A fuel tank, the box hangers, T hangers, all that stuff in here too. And we can rearrange it when the time comes, but these were all needs that were in the master plan. And if we're gonna put them in the master plan, let's put them on the CIP.
Mhm.
And we'll list that as a type 2 grant, not FAA money, but the NDOT money. Then in 2028, we showed the design phase of the parallel taxiway. And we originally had that as being a 60-foot by 60-foot, but knowing that we've got some planes with potentially bigger wingspans, I just went ahead and changed it to
Yeah.
70 by 70, and we'll get what we can afford and what they'll pay us to do. 2029, I showed the grading and drainage of the dirt work for the parallel taxiway, and constructing another 7-unit T hangar down there at the end, just to help meet some of the demands. And then in 2030, the paving for the parallel taxiway. In 2031, the electrical and marking for the parallel taxiway. And then I just, as a placeholder, construct a new terminal building once we know where it's gonna go. But I think a lot of people thought that the parallel taxiway and the lighting, of course, was obviously our two highest priority projects.
I would just say one thing about, I think there's a little bit of an inconsistency here that the simplest way to get a parallel taxiway, if it could be approved, is a diagonal taxiway off of the end of this one down here, past the big building, and then out here enough distance to accommodate the safety zone. And then, so what I'm saying is that building would be in the way.
Well, and that building is just a yellow.
I mean, it could be moved this way,
Yeah,
but I'm just saying,
well, it can only be moved so far because you don't own the property.
well, you've got land acquisition here, which I don't see us really doing next year.
Well, no, that's
That was
the,
for
that's the
the
reimbursement for the
house.
house that you bought.
Oh, for the house that you already bought. Oh,
Yeah.
But
It's
what I will tell you, Larry, in order to do that zigzag like that,
Yeah.
that means that the other part of that parallel taxiway is non-standard and doesn't
I know.
have FAA rules.
But
So-
it's there already.
Well, but it's not really a parallel taxiway. It was feeding A1 aircraft, which only required a 200-foot offset. A parallel taxiway is gonna have to be at least 240.
All I'm saying is that,
And what they might make us do is shift the whole runway south of that so that the whole entire parallel taxiway meets standards. That's what we were saying. They would have to approve a mod to standards to do what you're doing.
I
Yeah, it's hard to
understand,
draw.
I do understand it, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying I wouldn't give up on that yet, that's all I'm saying.
No, we're not.
Especially
That's
when
why we're gonna do.
99% of the parallel taxiway will be with the adequate clearance.
I wouldn't say
Oh,
99. but-
Well, 95, okay.
But if we shift the runway to the south, at the same time we do the parallel taxiway, we're getting rid of your displaced threshold and your obstruction lights at the road too.
Right.
So there's multiple benefits.
That obstruction light, why can't we lower the road?
Make a tunnel, that'd be nice.
You're gonna have to lower it 7 feet. So,
I thought it was
We got
4 feet,
equipment.
but it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, but,
the part above the frangible coupling is about 7 feet, wasn't it, Ed?
The what?
The obstruction lights, There's a frangible coupling, and then the light sticks up about 7 feet above that, I believe.
I think it's 5, but anyhow, it's above it.
Yeah.
So that might be a cheaper alternative than to move the runway south, but you get involved with the county and I don't know what.
Well, the other thing too is for not just the obstruction lights, but that runway protection zone actually crosses the road into the field across the road. So they don't like roads in the RPZs either, whether they're depressed or not. So we put the lights up because it's penetrating the slope surface.
Do we have enough land down here to move the
We own
runway?
all the way to the county road.
Oh, all the way to the county road?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, so we got room to do some shifting.
Little bit, not too much.
Close it.
But that's a gravel road, and I'd be
Oh, yeah.
willing to bet that we could get the county to close that if we
I
wanted
think
to.
they already said they would if we ever needed it.
Really?
It's not a high traffic road. So,
Okay, go ahead.
so anyway,
Still on.
the CIP, we took last year's, we just shifted a couple projects, added the lighting and, added the Jet A. So if everybody likes the looks of this, we'll finalize it, get it in a final format with cost estimates and everything. Get Larry's signature on it and send it to the state on December 1st.
We need a motion to approve that?
Yeah, I think you should.
Oh. I did the last one.
Was that?
You're good at it.
I'm good at it. Okay, I make a motion that we approve the CIP that Ken has so graciously put together to be submitted by December 1st.
I would amend that to say the draft of the CIP.
Well,
Right.
it's draft right now, yes.
Right.
Oh, the draft of the CIP.
So that we'll finalize it.
I second the motion. Any comments, or discussions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
The only other thing I got to share with you, the last item on the first page, IDEM now requires airports to register above ground storage tanks. We've always had to do it with the underground where we pay $90 a year per tank. But that goes into what they call the excess liability trust fund. It's nothing more than an insurance policy. If you ever have a spill or a release of some sort, they'll provide assistance with that. Your deductible's $15,000, but we need to register at least the big tank. I don't know about the little one yet. I'm going to double check on that, but it's just a simple form we fill out and send in. But once they accept it, they'll probably send you a bill and they may go back to 2023, which is when they changed that rule. So, but they did a terrible job of letting people know, but we discussed it with them at the Aviation Indiana conference, and they said, "Oh yeah, we did that in 2023." But they never notified anybody because they don't know who's got above ground tanks. So
Well, I don't think we need a board approval of that because
No.
we don't have a choice.
no, it's required by law, and it's a $90 expense. So
Why do you have to go back to 2023?
well, because that's when they
Changed the law.
The law said that
Oh,
you have to register it. So there's been people in the past that never registered to buy underground tanks. They've made them go back 3 or 4 or 5 years, not necessarily 20, but even if they made you go back 3 years, it's $270 instead of $90.
Now, I just have one question about your presentation.
Yes.
What is the means that we have to go through to participate in this training program?
They said they were going to send out an email to everybody.
Oh,
So
okay, that's
did
right.
you get one?
Not
No.
really, I've been watching for it,
They said
but I
they
never
did
signed
it
up for it.
Yeah, they said they did it last year too. But they said they were going to send out an email by December 1st.
Oh, okay, well, we can,
And so
We haven't, yeah,
is this something you can do online? Is it
I
online?
think it is
Yeah.
all online.
It's all online.
It's like a training module.
Because I mean, I would participate in that.
yeah.
I think they highly encourage it just because you'll become more educated on
Yeah,
some pretty important topics.
absolutely.
If you go do it at AAAE or something like that, you'll have to pay hundreds of dollars out of your pocket. So
Yeah.
they're offering it to you for free.
Yeah.
And I think you'll look better in their eyes if you do it. The other thing on the based aircraft, which Ed's been diligent on, we did finally get your plane on the basedaircraft.com because it was still being claimed by Frankfurt, I think it was. Which,
Yeah.
here's the interesting part, when two airports claim the same plane, nobody gets it.
it, yeah. I thought that was pretty funny.
So we can go out there and claim everybody's planes.
And then they have no
But,
airplanes at their airport, no way for
When
them.
it occurs in the same state, NDOT will get involved. And I told him, I said, it's owned by two of our board members. It's here. So he's like, okay, no problem. So he went and he got that one moved. There's still one more, I think, on there that's still.
Yeah, there's a tri-pacer. It's out of Texas. I've sent an email off to them asking them,
When it's in a different state, they can't do anything.
Yeah, they can't,
Yeah.
you can only go on the basedaircraft.com and make your claim. But the rule is wherever it is for 6 months plus 1 day, they get it.
Yeah.
So if it's been sitting here and we got pictures of it and it's covered with dust and everything and we got a lease, that should be enough to convince based aircraft. And the goal here is that someday you would like to get to 100 aircraft based, because then you jump up in category and potentially get more money and your projects rank higher. So that's a good thing.
So I think we've got 2 hangars at least that don't have based aircraft.
You mean they're
Well, the Navion, you're talking about the Navion?
Well, this hangar right here, it doesn't have any.
Oh, and the Quonset hut.
right?
Yeah.
That's
it doesn't have any airplanes in it either.
That's
Yeah.
enough incentive to chase people out that are not putting airplanes there because they're not buying fuel. All they're doing is paying rent.
Mhm.
They're not doing that either.
Oh.
So I think we need to address some of that, some of these hangars that don't have airworthy airplanes in them.
Yeah, because we're required to keep them out.
Yes.
Hodge is another one that's,
As long as you got a waiting list and somebody to go in there, I'd say go for it. If you don't have a waiting list, take the rent and stuff. But if you got somebody that'll move in there tomorrow, chase them out.
Well, I'm gonna call this guy.
And
And
I think everybody
you should have
remembers.
several of them that I've sent you.
But I think everybody
Well-
remembers we're potentially opening up a can of worms because of Brian's hangar, right?
But I don't see that we have a choice. I mean, I agree
He's only
with
got
you.
what, one airworthy plane in that whole hangar?
Well, that thing it's not in current annual right now,
Right.
so you could argue that it's not.
But I think he could go in there and sign something off in
He
his
could,
logbook
and I've
immediately.
encouraged him to do that.
But he also he's refused to sign a contract
That's right, we
Right.
don't have a contract.
We don't have a contract.
because he's refused.
Well, then there's the
So-
answer.
So
No
I
contract,
don't,
no
I
He
don't,
rewrote it and sent, and we put it back to the board didn't approve it.
yeah, and so to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, all I'm saying is if you're gonna pick on these 7 people, just remember, because I
Right.
think some of them have said, well, what about him?
yeah, I know.
That's been brought up more than once. I think Larry had kind of fought off some angry people at one point, right?
No, I wouldn't, no, I don't think.
I thought there was somebody complaining about,
Oh, excuse me, you're right, there is some, I wouldn't say they were angry, but they were looking for a hangar and they couldn't find one at that time.
right.
And so they were interested in,
And well, they were at a point where they were ready to make a complaint, I believe,
well, I would say yes.
to the FAA.
Yeah, I think you're
I
right.
think it's time, I agree with Jim, it's time to clean things up. We need to have some action on getting some of these resolved.
Well, let me ask you this, would you be interested in, being a committee of one to work on that? And if you did, here's what I would do. I would give you the paperwork that we generated already for the Potter hangar. And we were going through the process appropriately.
There's the rest of it. That's the rest.
And sent them registered letters and stuff like that, which they didn't respond to. And so the next step was to contact the city attorney and get her to do the legal business. We stopped doing that when we found out that we didn't have any waiting people waiting that really wanted a hangar. They were on the list, like you said in the past. But so at that point, we kind of decided, well, we might as well take our $450 a month. And at that point, also, they were paying every time you call them up.
Yeah, but they quit paying. They owe for last year and this year.
You know, but at that point, we were getting revenue from that hangar, so we quit. So I didn't go the next step to the city attorney. Now, and the reason I would ask if you're interested, or anybody's interested in doing that, is because my time is probably not going to allow me to do it right now.
What's that?
That's the Potter's hangar, or Potter's Airport. If you want to buy it.
Oh. It's I see, it's their airport.
All you gotta do is put in Gen 8.
They bought that in a tax sale,
Right,
is what they did. Now they've had it, I guess, 2 years or whatever.
Yeah.
The statute
So,
says, and now they're selling it.
Do you have contact info for them?
I do.
I mean, like address
I do.
and stuff?
Yes.
Where they're.
Yes.
And
And the reason they didn't.
Or phone number, I guess.
I
I got one of them's phone number.
I think I have both, but the reason that they didn't respond really at that time, now this is like a couple of years ago, was because they were in Florida for the winter, and we sent the registered address to their legal address, and nobody got the mail. So, and I did it.
I think
find that hard to believe.
the attorney. I mean, I think this is totally on the city attorney to handle it at this point.
Yeah, we made
that's the next step.
We made it bill for it.
But we have to ask her to do
We
it.
can
Right.
use, use the city attorney, but we'll have to pay for it.
Pick up that bill
Right.
too for her, 'cause,
Well, if they haven't paid in over a year, you're just kind
well,
of.
historically, we've called them and they sent a check immediately.
Yeah, and when we went through this process before that, I told you we kind of stopped. The last step in it was I called them. They'd come back from Florida, and I explained that we sent a registered letter, didn't get answered, and that the next step would be to go to the attorney. And that's what we had to do because our hands were tied because it's a FAA, requirement. And we got our money within a week. And I made it clear that it's not just the money that was causing us this problem. It was the condition of that hangar and its use. So we got the money anyway, which I was quite surprised.
No, another one you got is Hodges hangar over there.
That's not getting paid for?
No, it's getting paid for and everything, but
Oh, but the airplane isn't.
the airplane hasn't moved out of there in 5 years,
I
6
thought
years.
there was a new ultralight in there. They're stacked up.
Not
That
that I
was
know of.
flyable.
Not that I know of. There may be.
It is getting kind of late. Can we
Oh,
keep going?
yes. Okay, good point. Are you?
I'm done.
You're done? Yes?
We'll help Rhonda
What
out.
you had mentioned, do you want me to take care of that?
Yes, I'll give you the information you need.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
all the information I have.
I'll be glad to work on it.
Well, I appreciate that.
All right, you got a copy of the bill for testing of the runway electrical lines. You also have quotes for fixing them electrical lines. I distributed both of them to you. I did get 4,000 gallons of fuel. Surprising how much fuel prices changed from 4,000 to 2,000. So I was able to hold 4,000. The clerk was great. We actually spent more than what was in the account, hoping the credit card fees will come in before the bill. They did. We come out okay. But anyhow, we did get 4,000 gallons because of the price of it. I just left the price tag. So.
And on the electric lines, you're planning to pay the bill for the testing, but we're thinking about tabling the repairs, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
yeah, the only thing paid is for testing
Wasn't that like 18,000 or something like that?
to further repair.
And we said, since we're potentially, if we can make this system last until we get that grant,
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense, because you're spending your match money,
Yes.
so, okay, just making sure, sorry.
yeah. Okay. Basically, that's all I'm going to talk about then. Old business, that's down too.
Okay, all right. All right,
Old business is next.
one bit of old business. We want to get approval for the farm lease that I signed.
That's, okay.
And the reason I did it is because,
You skipped one. Old business was a kind of a report on the house, and I think,
oh, well then, go ahead and do that. Oh, I see. Go ahead.
I think what we did, I think that's pretty well been covered, that we're sitting on our hands just a little bit to get refinanced.
That was part of the FAA discussion.
Right.
They suggested that if you want us to reimburse for the house, you probably shouldn't tear it down until we get our environmental approvals.
Yeah,
That's just to make sure it's not a historical structure or
yeah,
anything else. So
Yeah.
as soon as we get that approval, they just said, don't jeopardize your funding by tearing it down.
Yeah.
So,
and I communicated to Aiton.
Yep.
Because we have the quote from who we're gonna use on it.
Yep.
And I did communicate to hold off for a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, now your new business.
Mhm.
You have two items.
What we should do on the farm lease in the future is bring up the subject amongst ourselves and maybe the farmer in the summer, before he applies fertilizer in the
Yeah.
fall. And this year, we didn't do that, and he didn't do it either. So the fact is, he presented me with a contract after he'd already put the fertilizer on. So I thought, in order to be reasonable, and the rate is the same as it was last year, so, which we did approve. So I said I went ahead and signed it. So I would seek approval for it. So I move that the board approve the farm lease as of now.
I second it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I apologize. I think, I should have thought of this in the summer, but I didn't really think about it. He's gonna apply fertilizer as soon as he, harvests the corn or whatever. So,
Jim, I was
Yeah.
just curious, do you think that rate is a bit low?
Yes, it is. Well,
I know you don't, it's hard to bid it out because
so it's all cut up and
that's exactly right.
it's
It's a mess.
I probably wouldn't pay much for it because I don't like corners. Corners
well,
are
most
expensive.
people aren't farming just that. I mean, they're doing the property
Well,
next
so
to it as well too.
That's what's going on here. And so they just farm the whole thing on.
Right.
But for somebody to come in and farm these little jig jobs.
No, I know. You couldn't farm it, you couldn't lease it to just another person that's not doing one of the
My
other
question
side.
is, I guess one thing I would have is that, because he is farming all of it, it seems like our rate should be a little better because it's all tied together.
Well, yeah.
It
So
could be a
Who
little,
else are you gonna
it'd be
get?
more fair.
Well,
Yeah,
if
but
you
who
rent-
else are you gonna get to do it if it's
if you-
crappy?
if you rent that out to somebody else, then it's gonna make it miserable for him to farm around it.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Not only that, but the other person probably wouldn't pay any more rate than this.
Yeah.
Because of those,
What's
for
the
him,
rate?
it
What's
would be
the
a
rate?
problem.
What's the rate?
225.
An acre?
And the reason I brought it up is Jasper County just leased a bunch of property that's not as good as this for $375.
I was gonna say 400 is kind of where the
And
market is.
theirs is kind of the same way, where it's part of it's county property and part of it's airport property. So they're in the same boat where they can't just lease out just a small piece by itself, but it probably should be a higher rate.
Well, if somebody wants to contact farmers next year, we should do it and get their idea. We should do it in July or
Right.
Yeah.
June.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he
absolutely.
should be
Get it
paying
done
fair
before-
market value, whatever
Yeah.
that is, period.
That's the problem now, is we're a day late and a dollar short.
Did we vote on this or we just,
Yes.
oh, we did vote. Okay. Thank
Okay,
goodness.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, we did.
I'm sorry, I
Okay.
apologize for that. Okay, where are we at now?
No removal.
okay. Snow removal, I located a gentleman on exactly, they call it precision blowing. Had him down here, we drove the runway, we looked at it, he had some of his equipment right there on the flatbed that he was brought in here when he stopped. And there's the proposal that he's given. He gives a different amount, but then he totals them all up. So I'm not sure how do we got to the total, but, 2 inches, right around 2 inches or 2 to 8, it'd be $1,200. That's comparable to what we're paying. In fact, that's a little cheaper than what we've been paying. Yeah.
So we're not gonna use the one we've been using?
No, well, they quit doing it.
Okay,
They just said, hey, you're out of luck, we're done.
okay.
We're not doing it.
Well, I asked the mayor about it because you want me to ask him one for the
Yeah.
city. And he said that they don't really have enough people they would help if you got in the bind, if they're not buried under. They just couldn't commit to a full-time.
Yeah, and it may be a week before they get here too.
I mean, so that's what he said.
Okay, well,
I mean, he didn't mind helping, but.
I feel a lot more comfortable going this way.
That way you know it's getting done.
Yeah.
Do I hear a motion to approve the snow
I
removal
motion that we
proposal?
approve the snow removal contract.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, sure won't be out there scoop shovel.
And you're on a roll with unanimous votes, Larry.
Yeah, but I had some little bumps there along the road. And has anybody else got any other business they want to bring up?
I need them to sign.
Then I adjourn the meeting.
Adjourn.
Or do I have to have a motion to adjourn it? Usually, who's the parliamentarian here?
Usually adjournment is a motion,
All right, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
I second.
because one
All in
single
favor?
person can't adjourn on their own.
Oh, okay. All right. Now it is done. Now,
Okay.
do you
Thank
have
you.
other things for me to sign back in there or just sign these?
Uh-oh. I can't get a folder right.
I apologize for the length of my report and the master plan all at the same time.
Are we still on?
What happened to you skip meetings for a month?
No